a question I want to ask with me and Skip sitting here, because it's a challenge for me to speak about another geologic perspective, right? The MagmaChem perspective of how you start breaking down a geologic problem.
Well, that's a complicated question,
Yeah.
but I lay a lot of that off to the fact that I got a degree in philosophy. And it kind of gave me a methodology of how to come into a problem and break it down. And a lot of that is that you're looking at I'll never forget this comment that Jeffrey Murphy, who was my mentor in the philosophy department, specializing in Kant, and so I really got into this Kantian stuff. But he said that I asked him, what makes a good philosopher one time? And he said, thought about it for about 20 seconds. The ability to make distinctions. And that's a lot of how you solve problems. You take something that everybody thought was one thing, and you break it down and you find out that there's other component parts to it. So that's what the whole magma metal series classification is, for example. If you go to the IUGS classification, it's a one-stop stopping chart. You just find out where your little rock plots on there, and then as far as Streckhausen was concerned, you were done. Okay, it's a granite. Well, it turns out that's just the start. Mm-hmm. And then you just keep going and going and going.
And that goes back to your philosopher mentor saying your ability to
make distinctions.
Make distinctions of something.
Using a discriminator, yeah.
So now let's just talk about geology as a whole now, because...
Well, that was the magma metal series classification, so that is a big piece of geology.
Right.
Because 99% of the Earth is an igneous rock problem.
99?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
from the core to, I mean, basically sedimentology, the stuff you guys have been working on, that's just this little piece of dirt layer that runs around the outside of the planet. That's nothing.
Right.
The biggest thing for a, I guess, young geologist, or even in your perspective, is being not satisfied, like you said, content with that answer. And
well, now you're on to a motivator.
Right.
Ignorance is my motivating force. I read an essay on that back in the day once, and I never forgot it. It says, you're motivated by your ignorance. If you think you figured it out, you're a dead duck. You've never figured anything out. I mean, what I've figured out is a few scraps of how the universe is put together. That's a Kierkegaardian existentialism concept, if you go into a philosophical mode with it. We're just fly specks. And you've got to have that attitude, but then you also have to have the attitude, I'm going to figure this out. And then I used to have these philosophical tools or approaches to figure stuff out.
Yeah, that's, I mean, from a fundamental point of view, I mean, that's super powerful. As far as being motivated by ignorance for the pursuit of truth.
Yeah.
That's
it. So back to the root of the question, and I kind of feel like I have an answer to it, but a geologist coming out of school, learning their tools to understand geology versus a geologist coming out of MagmaChem school and learning how to understand geology, what is the difference? We can differentiate we can make more distinctions of the natural world more than the
Yeah,
college
you're going to
grad?
learn a petrology that is unfamiliar to any other petrologist. So it's like Tiger Woods plays golf at a level that no other golfer has a clue about. It's unfamiliar. His game is unfamiliar to everybody else. And then you can sit there and try to figure out, well, what is it about that? And it's, people really didn't know. When he was at the top of his game, and even now, he's still winning tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
At his age, after he's been through everything.
Yeah.
That's incredible. But that's what MagmaChem is. It's a level of petrology that, because that, again, is about 99% of how the Earth puts itself together. And so the asthenosphere, which is one thing to most mantle petrologists, is 8 layers
MagmaChem.
in MagmaChem space.
Wow. That's a good way of putting a visual to that. That's exactly right. We got almost 19 layers, I think, if you count up individually what you've differentiated in the layers.
So the thing to do is that if you come out of MagmaChem, you already have that data set stamped in your brain, and then the challenge is to come up with more of them.